I walked back into the bedroom and got into bed and pulled the covers to my throat. I looked up to the ceiling as I talked to myself. All right, God, say that you are really there. You put me in this fix. You want to test me. Suppose I test you. Suppose I say that you are not there. You've given me a supreme test with my parents and with these boils. I think that I have passed your test. I think I'm tougher than you. If you will come down here right now, I will spit into your face, if you have a face. And do you shit? The priest never answered that question. He told us not to doubt. Doubt what? I think you have been picking on me too much, so I'm asking you to come down here so I can put you to the test. I waited. Nothing. I waited for God. I waited and waited. I believe I slept. I never slept on my back. But when I awakened, I was on my back, and it surprised me. My legs were bent at the knees in front of me, making a mountain-like effect with the blankets. And as I looked at the blanket mountain before me, I saw two eyes staring at me. Only the eyes were dark, black, blank, looking at me from underneath a hood, a black hood with a sharp, tall peak like a Ku Klux Klansman. It kept staring at me, dark, blank eyes, and there was nothing I could do about it. I was really terrified. I thought, is this God? But God isn't supposed to look like that. I couldn't stare it down. I couldn't move. It just stayed there looking at me over the mound of my knees in the blanket. I wanted to get away. I wanted it to leave. It was powerful and black and threatening. It seemed to remain there for hours staring at me. Then it was gone. I stayed in bed thinking about it. I couldn't believe that it had been God, dressed like that. That would be a cheap trick. It had been an illusion, of course. I thought about it for 10 or 15 minutes. Then I went up to get the little brown box my grandmother had given me many years ago. Inside of it were tiny rolls of paper with quotations from the Bible. Each tiny roll was held in a cubicle of its own. One was supposed to ask a question, and the little roll of paper one pulled out was supposed to answer that question. I'd tried it before and found it useless. Now I tried it again. I asked the brown box, what did that mean? What did those eyes mean? I pulled out a paper and unrolled it. It was a tiny, stiff, white piece of paper. I unrolled it and read it. God has forsaken you. I rolled the paper up and stuck it back into its cubicle in the brown box. I didn't believe it. I went back to bed. Thought about it. It was too simple, too direct. I didn't believe it. I considered masturbating to bring me back to reality. I still didn't believe it. I got back up and started unrolling all the little papers inside the brown box. I was looking for the one that said, God has forsaken you. I unrolled them all. None of them said that. I read them all, and none of them said that. I rolled them up and put them carefully back in their cubicles in the little brown box. Meanwhile, the boils got worse. I kept getting on to the streetcar number 7 going to L.A. County Hospital, and I began to fall in love with Miss Ackerman, my nurse of the squeezings. She would never know how each stab of pain caused courage to well up in me. Despite the horror of the blood and the pus, she was always humane and kind. My love feeling for her wasn't sexual. I just wished that she would enfold me in her starched whiteness, and that together we could vanish from the world. But she never did that. She was too practical. She would only remind me of my next appointment.